کنفرانس بین‌المللی ایران چشمانداز تغییر 29 ژوئن 2018 پنل سوم سپاه پاسداران و تأثیر تحریم‌ها.
Alors, nous sommes quelques-uns à être convaincus que l'accord de juillet 2015 a été un mauvais accord. Je pense qu'il n'est pas la peine de revenir, ou en tout cas de s'étendre très longtemps là-dessus. Au final, les capitales européennes, celles qui composent ce que l'on appelle l'UE3, qui était la cheville ouvrière de la négociation de cet accord, se sont retrouvées au pied du mur. Soit, finalement, on mettait sous un mouchoir les reproches qui étaient adressés à Téhéran en matière de prolifération balistique, en matière de déstabilisation du Moyen-Orient, et puis on en revenait purement et simplement à justifier un statu quo qui n'existe pas sur le terrain. Soit la phase suivante, c'était la mise en place de sanctions, alors peut-être pas au titre du non-respect de l'accord de juillet 2015, puisque grosso modo on estime qu'il est à peu près respecté, mais que le véritable problème c'est que cet accord n'est pas complet, c'est que c'est un mauvais accord, mais en tout cas des sanctions au titre du programme balistique d'une part, et puis d'autre part de la déstabilisation du Moyen-Orient. Alors en fait, le président américain Donald Trump, en dénonçant cet accord, le 8 mai dernier, nous a fait en quelque sorte prendre un raccourci, puisque le fait est que la situation est complètement bouleversée. Mais parce qu'il y a de véritables intérêts de sécurité qui sont en jeu dans cette affaire, que ce soit la menace directe représentée par ce régime et son intention stratégique, ou alors, d'une manière plus générale, les menaces indirectes qui découlent de toute la déstabilisation du Moyen-Orient du fait de la politique iranienne. Alors, le fait est que les intérêts de sécurité sont beaucoup plus importants que les questions de marché, que les questions finalement commerciales, sur lesquelles très vite, malheureusement, le débat en France et en Europe, en tout cas, a roulé. Donc, il doit y avoir des sanctions. Il faut parvenir à des sanctions qui, à minima, concernent le programme balistique, comme je l'ai dit, concernent donc toute la politique de déstabilisation du Moyen-Orient. Et le point commun, finalement, à toutes ces questions, que ce soit le programme balistique, le programme nucléaire dans ses virtualités et la déstabilisation du Moyen-Orient, ce sont les gardiens de la révolution. C'est l'épine dorsale, c'est la colonne vertébrale du régime, et donc, de fait, il faut viser cette colonne vertébrale. Ça pose ipso facto la question du régime, du changement.
So, and Link, it's good to see you, and let me also thank the organizers. In terms of the Annex 2, I would just add one footnote. Annex 2 was one of a number of fatal flaws of the JCPOA, and we could spend the entire session on what those flaws were, including ineffective verification, allowing Iran to pursue advanced centrifuges, failure to cover missiles, failure to deal with the potential military activities that were uncovered by the IAEA. We could go on and on, but I think that's behind us because on 8 May, President Trump made what I consider to be the correct and very courageous decision to leave the JCPOA. In terms of your question, Link, on sanctions and whether sanctions work, my answer would be sanctions can work. Sanctions can work if they're part of a broader strategy. I think it's also essential to note that sanctions work best when they're coupled with support of the people, in this case, the Iranian people. The regime has tried to portray sanctions as directed against the Iranian people. But you can see from the protests that have occurred over the past years that the Iranian people simply aren't buying that line. They understand what the cause is, and they appropriately put the blame on the Iranian regime. This is a regime that they know has mismanaged the natural resources of Iran, has spent billions, if not tens of billions, on misadventures in Syria, in Lebanon, in Yemen, and to support terrorist proxies. This is a regime that that is corrupt to the core. Recently, we reimposed sanctions on the governor of Iran's central bank for funneling funds from the IRGC to Hezbollah. And there's many more things that we can do in that context. We can also broaden sanctions to other sectors beyond petroleum-related and financial-related transactions, to mining, to engineering, to construction. And you can already see shipping companies, insurance companies, petroleum companies already moving to abandon their relationships with Iran. They have said that they will continue those relationships only if waivers are offered. And Secretary Pompeo has again said that that's very unlikely. It's simply not going to happen. Let me stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for having me at this panel. What's different now is that the IRGC Quds Force and Iran, the regime, does not have an advocate like they had in 2009. In 2009 through 2013, the Iranian regime faced the toughest sanctions it ever faced before, yet it was still able to do very destabilizing activities. That's because they had a guarantor. And the guarantor was the administration, those in the administration that were working towards the JCPOA, the Iran deal. There were overtures back and forth between the Supreme Leader and the Obama administration to show us you're serious. The ask was made to the United States first, show us you're serious. So we started releasing IRGC Quds Force operatives in Iraq that we never would have released before because they had American blood on their hands, and they had Iraqi blood on their hands. But we started releasing them, and they were the ones that Qasem Soleimani was asking for. Despite the sanctions, the IRGC Quds Force was able to conduct some very destabilizing activities in Iraq, Lebanon. Annex 2 of the JCPOA was the giveaway. It made the JCPOA a bad deal, an imperfect one if we want to take that language. It basically reactivated the IRGC Quds Force's operational and logistical terror networks. It delisted banks, it delisted individuals. So what's different this time is that the president walked away from the Iran deal because of what the IRGC Quds Force was doing. That is all gone now. Annex 2, we're going to start looking at sanctioning entities like Satad, the Supreme Leader's personal fortune of almost $190 billion. Like you said, sanctions aren't enough. What we should do also is highlight Qasem Soleimani's personal fortune, the Basij commander's personal fortune, the Supreme Leader's personal fortune. I mean, Mohammad Reza Nakhti was the leader of the Basij. He's the one responsible for putting down the 2009 protests. He received sanctions relief. We need to publish these individuals' personal wealth because those soldiers that you talked about, the good thing that I'm hearing, I think this is a good thing. The private sector is not listening to reassurance from their European governments that they should invest in Iran. The European private sector, it was hesitant to go into Iran when the United States was in the JCPOA, and less hesitant now. They may not be listening to their governments when their governments say, go ahead and do this, but they are listening to U.S. Treasury. The United States just announced that they will not offer any waivers on the import of Iranian oil to any country. So Iran is shedding friends. If they rush to a bomb, they lose Europe. If they rush to a bomb, Russia actually has to put its foot down because Russia does not want the Islamic Republic to have a nuclear weapon on their border. And China is simply tired of pouring billions of dollars into Iran's economy to offset the hesitancy of U.S. private sector and European private sector companies. And I'll leave it there.
Thank you very much.